If your business feels messy, unclear, inconsistent, or hard to sell, your first instinct might be, I need better branding, or I need a better logo, or I need to redo my website. And maybe you do, but today I want to lovingly ruin that shortcut for you because sometimes the logo was not the problem, the foundation was. Welcome to Root Cause, the show where we look at why your business feels harder than it should and what to fix first. I'm Janda, founder of the Startup Consultants, where we help founders and business owners build the business behind the brand. That means strategy, structure, systems, workflows, back-end setup, client experience, launch planning, and the operating pieces most people skip when they're trying to get the business moving. And today we're talking about one of the most expensive mistakes founders make. They keep trying to fix the visible part of the business when the real problem is underneath. The logo, the colors, the website, the photos, the Instagram grid, the business cards, the Canva templates, the I just need everything to look more professional spiral. Now let me be clear. Branding matters. A strong visual identity matters. A clear website matters. A professional presence matters. But those pieces are not magic. A pretty brand cannot fix an unclear offer. A polished website cannot fix a broken inquiry path. A gorgeous logo cannot fix weak follow-up. A beautiful Instagram page cannot fix an inconsistent client experience. And expensive visuals cannot save a business that still doesn't know what happens from I'm interested to paid client to delivered. That's the root cause. Sometimes the business doesn't need to look better first. It needs to be built better first. There's a difference. The founder symptom usually sounds like this. I need to rebrand. My website isn't converting. My business doesn't look professional enough. I don't know how to explain what I do. People are interested, but they don't book. I feel like I need to start over. And because the visible part of the business is easiest to see, that's where founders usually focus. They look at the logo, they look at the homepage, they look at the colors, they look at the bio, they look at the social feed, and they think, this must be why people aren't buying. But sometimes people aren't buying because they're confused. They don't understand the offer. They don't know who it's for. They don't know what happens after they inquire. They don't know how to book. They don't know what they get. They don't know why now. They don't know what makes this worth the investment. That is not just a branding problem. That is a foundation problem. And if you skip the foundation, you can keep redesigning forever. That's how founders end up in the rebrand loop. New logo, same unclear offer. New website, same broken follow-up. New colors, same confusing sales process. New photos, same inconsistent client journey. Now, everything looks better, but the business still feels heavy. That is deeply annoying and expensive and common. This is why build order matters. The visible brand should sit on top of the business foundation, not replace it. Think of it like a house. You can paint the front door, you can install beautiful lighting, you can stage the furniture, you can buy the fancy candles that smell like a rich person's vacation. But if the foundation is cracked, the house still has a problem. The pretty part helps people pay attention. The foundation helps the thing stand. Your business works the same way. The visible brand gets attention. The foundation creates clarity, trust, follow-through, and delivery. So when a founder says, I need a better logo, I want to ask, maybe. But first, do people understand what you sell? Do they know who it's for? Do they know what problem it solves? Do they know what happens after they inquire? Can they book easily? Can they pay easily? Do they get clear next steps? Does your follow-up work? Does delivery happen the same way every time? Do clients know what to expect? Can someone else help you run the process? Because if the answer is no, the logo is not the first fix. The foundation is. Let's make this practical. Here are a few signs that your logo is not the real problem. First, people are interested but confused. They like the idea. They compliment the business. They say, this is so cool. They ask questions, but they do not book. That usually means your offer or buyer path is unclear. Interest is not the same as conversion. Compliments are cute. Deposits are clearer. Second, you keep explaining what you do in different ways. Every conversation sounds slightly different. Every post explains it differently. Every sales call requires a custom explanation. Every time someone asks, so what do you actually do? You give a different version depending on your mood, caffeine level, and how much time you have. That is usually not a logo problem. That is an offer clarity problem. Third, your website looks fine, but people still do not know what to do next. They land on the page, they scroll, they read. They might even like it, but the path is unclear. Do they book a call, fill out a form, buy the audit, apply, send a message, wait for a sign from the business gods? If the next step is unclear, the website is not functioning as a business asset. It is functioning as a digital brochure with commitment issues. Fourth, people say yes, then get confused. This is a big one. If someone books or pays and then immediately needs clarification, your client experience may be underbuilt. They need to know what happens next, when will they hear from you, what do they need to prepare, where do they submit information, what is the timeline, who do they contact, what are the expectations. If that is not clear, the issue is not the logo, it is the onboarding structure. Fifth, the business looks good from the outside, but still depends on you to hold everything together. That means the visible brand may be stronger than the back end, and that is where founders get into trouble, because visibility brings attention. Attention brings inquiries. Inquiries need follow-up. Follow-up needs a workflow. Clients need onboarding. Delivery needs structure. And if those things are missing, more visibility just exposes the gaps faster. This is why TSC does not teach founders to just look better. We help them build the business behind the brand, strategy, structure, systems. Because if the back end is missing, the brand will eventually overpromise what the business cannot consistently support. And we are not doing that. Not today, Satan, not with a serif font. So what do you fix first? Start with the business foundation. And no, that does not mean you need to rebuild everything. It means you need to identify what is missing underneath the visible brand. Start with these questions. What do I sell? Who is it for? What problem does it solve? What happens when someone is interested? How do they book or buy? What happens after they pay? What does the client experience look like? Where does follow-up happen? Where does delivery start? Where do people get confused? Where do I keep manually stepping in? That is the foundation map. You are looking for the parts of the business that should exist before you spend more money making the outside prettier, because the outside should reflect the inside. If the offer is unclear, the website will be unclear. If the client journey is messy, the sales page will feel messy. If the back end is missing, the brand will look better than the business feels, and that creates a trust gap. People may not know exactly why they hesitate, but they can feel when something is unclear. They can feel when the next step is clunky. They can feel when the offer takes too long to explain. They can feel when the business looks polished, but the process feels uncertain. That is why foundation work matters. It creates the clarity the visible brand is supposed to communicate. Now, if you are listening and thinking, okay, Rude, this might be me, here is your fix first move. Before you redesign anything, map this path. Offer to inquiry, to booking, to payment, to onboarding, to delivery, to follow-up. Then ask, where is this unclear? Where do people hesitate? Where do people ask the same question? Where do I explain too much? Where does follow-up depend on me? Where does the client get confused? Where does delivery change every time? That map will tell you whether you have a design problem or a foundation problem. And honestly, a lot of founders have both. That is fine. But the order still matters. Clarify the foundation first, then make the visible brand match the structure. That is how the brand becomes useful instead of decorative, because the goal is not just to look legitimate. The goal is to make it easy for the right person to understand, trust, buy, and experience the business. That is the work. And this is exactly why we start with Seed. Seed is the audit and build roadmap. It is not a casual consult. It is not a what color should my logo be session. It is not someone tossing random opinions at your business and calling it strategy. The point is to review what exists, what is missing, what is out of order, and what needs to be fixed first. Because most founders do not need another opinion. They need build order. Inside Seed, we look at the business behind the brand, your offer, your client journey, your inquiry path, your back end, your systems, your workflows, your launch readiness, your operational gaps. Then you leave with a guided build roadmap, priorities, build order, instructions, reference examples, and when relevant, vetted or researched referrals. So you can DIY the foundation with clarity or hire TSC to help implement it. That is the difference between critique and a roadmap. The audit does not just tell you what is wrong, it gives you the roadmap to build what is missing. Quick recap. If your business feels messy, unclear, or hard to sell, the logo may not be the real problem. The root cause may be that the foundation is missing. The offer may be unclear. The inquiry path may be clunky. The client journey may be undocumented. The follow-up may be weak. The back end may not be ready for more attention. So before you redesign the visible pieces, map the foundation: offer, inquiry, booking, payment, onboarding, delivery, follow-up. Because once you can see the business, you can build the business. That is what we mean when we say we build the business behind the brand, not just the pretty part, the part that actually runs. If this episode felt a little too familiar, start with seed. Start with seed. Leave with the roadmap. Build with clarity. And if you want more root cause episodes like this, subscribe or follow the show. We'll keep breaking down why your business feels harder than it should and what to fix first.